Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Exchange. And he's back. JB Ellis, fresh off Cooperstown and some of the other travels that he's been at. JB Ellis, I'll be the first to welcome you back to the big show.
How's it going? How's everybody doing?
We're doing all right. Glad to see you. I'll tell you, we've missed you. All right.
Glad to be back.
Well, I can't give you a standing ovation because I sit, but at least think about it anyways. All right. So with that said, we have Candy Ebling. Welcome back, Can.
Thank you, Scott. Great. Glad to be back.
And smoking will be smoking tonight.
How we doing, everybody?
Well, we're doing lively. And George Eichhorn.
Is he smoking a cool or a Viceroy, or what's he smoking?
Are you crazy? Why don't you give the tobacco industry any love on this show?
I'm sorry. I'm well. Thank
that
you.
was funny. I gave a good answer. LD, long distance. I smoke it way far away from where I do this podcast.
All right. Well, that's good to know. All right. Well, you know what? Tonight's episode, we're going to cover a lot, and there are a few interesting topics. I want to make sure that JB Ellis definitely had an opportunity to comment. So I'm going to go to the baseball ones first because obviously the name of the episode, the stimulus response, MLB trade deadline styles, what we're really looking at. So this is going to be something where we're really going to pretty much try to talk about a lot of different things. And you know what? Yesterday's trade deadline wasn't forgiving for a lot of the teams that ended up selling. So with that said, we'll lead it off here with the New York Mets traded David Robertson to the Marlins, and yet that sets off Max Scherzer, who is now a Texas Ranger. So you know what? I'll go right to left. George, what do you think?
I give Max a lot of credit only because he spoke his mind, and I think he spoke the mind of a lot of Mets fans. You go out and spend all that money and you bring all-stars in there like the Mets did, and then you go and trade Nate. Obviously the white flag was raised at Citi Field. It's a shame what happened to that team this year. If you would have told me that Max and JV, former Tigers, would be reunited, and then by August 1st they'd both be gone, I would have said, "What are you smoking?"
Yeah, no, I know it's hard to believe. So,
yeah.
Okay, JB.
Listen, the Mets did the right thing. They just aren't competitive this year for whatever reason. You know, New Yorkers should know from watching the Yankees for many years, you can't just buy a championship. You can't win the World Series because you spend $200 million. The Dodgers are a perfect example of that year after year. It just happens, and the Mets did what was right. They got rid of the guys with large salaries. The fact that they're still paying them means nothing. Their owner is a billionaire. He has plenty of money. You know, he's going to go out and spend money, I'm sure, free agency again this year. So I think the Mets did what was right for them long term, and I don't think it really hurt them in any way.
Okay, Jeremy.
The Mets did the right thing, selling off. Because every now and then when you put that many diva-style superstar mentalities together, what happens? You have a locker room crash. And that's exactly what it looks like happened with the Mets. So I kind of said, I doubt either one of them are together by the end of the season. Did I think they'd both get traded from the team? No. But I knew neither one of them would be on the same team by the end of the season.
Candy?
My question is, had the Mets gone out and gotten these guys a year prior, there was so many that everybody's been talking about how the veterans are having a hard time with the new pitch clock. And now you have a bunch of veteran pitchers that weren't used to a pitch clock, and you can't tell me it's not affecting them. The rookies were used to playing minor league ball. They're used to the time limits and everything. Like, I just wonder if this was a year ago, if they would be not fire sailing, but moving all these veterans off the team had they not had the pitch clock. I'm not sure, but it's something to think about because it is interesting. Like, they say it's harder for veterans to get used to the pitch clock, get used to the quickness. Let's face it, if there's an overthrow at first base, it's a pitcher's job to be over there backing them up. Then they got to come back to the pitching mound. They only have 20 seconds, then it starts, and they got to they've been playing this summer in a lot of heat. I mean, it's record heat all over the country. They're tired, and you can't tell me it's not affecting them. But they did the right thing because they're not in contention, and prospects will help them in the future.
Yeah, the one guy I feel bad for in this whole thing is Buck Showalter. I really do.
Yeah.
He had a great year last year, and now Buck Showalter has to deal with this nonsense again. I don't know what the noise background is, but I'm not going to try to compete with it. So, but meanwhile, Buck Showalter to me is a guy that didn't have to deal with this again, and I just hope that his job gets spared and he has an opportunity to work through a lot of these issues. So, with that said, we'll stay on to the Mets theme here. Scherzer gets traded. Justin Verlander not pleased. Verlander is now returning to the Houston Astros. Okay, George.
Well, I think that's a good deal it's a win-win because obviously, like you guys were saying, the Mets were not going anywhere. JV, I mean, his wife, if she's still doing her modeling, I'm sure they were happy to go to New York for that. But let's face it, he has a second home, in Houston area, and the Astros loved him down there. The fans loved him. He loved it. Manager Baker liked him, and so it's a win-win. I mean, JV's got to be very, very happy for that. I mean, as far as for his own being 40 years old, I mean, geez, I'd be happy you're going to a World Series contender again, Houston, even though they might not be the favorite to win it all, but they certainly are right up there.
JV?
Listen, it works out for everybody. The Mets get the prospects. Verlander, in the twilight of his career, gets to go back where he did well. And have a chance to win a World Series. What could be better than that for him? Houston makes out because they, needed an arm to catch Texas, and vice versa for Texas. They needed an arm to keep Houston down. So everyone wins in this situation. The Mets get a little bit richer for the future, and they did the right thing.
Jeremy?
Even though he says the Mets get richer for the future, they got great prospects for the future, but they didn't get richer. Because they're still paying Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander as though they're there. Each one of them is still getting over 30+ million a year for this year, next year, and then half of that the following year. So you look at all the money they've spent, they wasted it.
Candy?
There is a report out that says that Scherzer had a conversation with Epler, and Epler said, "No, we're not." It was because Scherzer asked him, "Are we reloading for 2024?" No, we're not. Basically, our vision now is for 25, 26. 25 at the earliest, more like 26. We're going to be making trades around that. And that's what they did. That's why they traded some of these older veterans and got prospects so that in the next couple years, they're going to be up and coming and they'll be able to really ignite the team.
Well, again, you have a situation where you have two, and bear in mind, Justin Verlander just recorded his 250th win. So, and now he's going to get to play for Dusty Baker. Life's not bad. Scherzer gets to play for Bruce Bochy, two excellent managers, two world championship managers.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that. And you know what's even better about their situation? Neither of them is going to have to pay no state income tax either in Texas. So it's not going to hurt. It's not a bad thing you can do. In Florida, we don't pay no state income tax either. So, Steve Cohen can keep all the money he wants, but there's nothing that can be more compensatory than when you don't have to pay no state income tax. So, all right, let's stay on to baseball. And Shohei Ohtani not going anywhere. The Angels are still buyers at the trade deadline when you look at Randall Grichuk and C.J. Cron. So, George, back to you.
I wasn't totally surprised, even though it's a real tough situation because the Angels could definitely be empty-handed. I don't know what to think. I don't know if he's going to want to stay there or not. I mean, there's been all kinds of talk about him playing still on the West Coast. You got the Giants, you got Seattle, you got the Dodgers and the Angels, but I don't know what he's going to do. I thought they might try to move him, but they're still, in the hunt for the wild card. So I understand they hope to get Trout healthy, hopefully, and then they're going to make a run for it. I guess that's the only thing I can think of because boy, oh boy, I mean, he's looking at $60 million plus for an annual contract. I know the Angels got a lot of money, but I'm not sure they're going to want to spend all that money. So I was a little surprised, Scott, that he didn't get moved.
Hey, Brian Cushion.
We get it.
Okay. Hopefully we'll have a chance to get around to football, but if not, I guarantee tomorrow night, 100 inside the pigskin, we'll have plenty of that for you. So thanks for checking in with us. We appreciate it. All right, on to you, JB.
Listen, it's just crazy how Ohtani is by far the best player in the game. The Angels have a shot to make the playoffs, and they have two of the top talent players in baseball. You got to make a run at it, because for the Angels, who aren't the Dodgers, they don't win all the time. You got to take a chance. It was the right move to keep him and try and do what you can, long term to keep him. Hopefully they can, make a deal to keep him long term, because it'd be great to see him stay there. But at the end of the year, you're going to have your regular players, even though he says he wants to stay on the West Coast. Yankees, Mets, Cubs, they're going to be involved no matter what. And, of course, the Giants, Seattle, San Diego possibly, but I think they've spent a lot of their money already, and they're locked up with a lot of long-term guys. But, I think they should have looked towards him as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, how can you not want to keep that guy?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, with them being buyers, that means they're trying to get to the wild card to get hot and move forward. That being said, Shohei Ohtani, please, for the love of God, with us losing Javi Baez's contract and Cabrera's next year, we have enough money. Come home to Detroit.
Okay, well, love the energy there. Not so sure it'll realistically happen, but I give you the old
It's
college
possibility.
try.
They're going to have $90 million in cap room next year.
Well, the main thing is when they contend.
Not Baez, though, Jeremy. I think it's you're thinking of Scope, maybe?
No, Baez gets to where they can cut him and not hurt their cap situation next year, because it's the third year of that contract.
Okay.
So they can cut him and get that $20 million back.
Okay, all right, Candy.
Gotcha.
How do you go and trade somebody that throws his first complete game shutout in his career, a one-hitter in a doubleheader, and then goes and he hits, 2 home runs in the second game of the doubleheader? Like, that's just unheard of. And the other thing is what was the asking price? Like, is there anybody out there that has enough players to compensate what they would have wanted for Shohei? I mean, they're going to make a run. The fact that they're in the hunt means that if they were going to ship him off, the price would have been really, really steep. And can anybody afford that? Anybody have compatible enough people to, if you lose Shohei, to make up the difference? Because he's doing it on both sides of the ball. And there isn't any other player that comes close to that.
It's amazing how some of these Japanese players turn out. Ichiro Suzuki, how did that one turn out? Shohei Ohtani, how did that? Hideki Matsui, right? Another one out there.
Yeah.
Japanese players are awfully good. The one thing I'll say about Shohei Ohtani is, why you should keep him. You're buying, and those transactions are there. But let's not forget how many people he's going to put in the stands there, and it shows the fan base are still trying to win anyway. So, how much revenue would you have lost with the people, your fan base, if he didn't stay for the remainder of the year? Deal with it, and if you lose him, well, at least you can't say you didn't try to keep the guy anyways by not only being a buyer, but give it your best shot. What do you have to lose? And I think the Angels took the right position here as well. I should point out that the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com or participate in the chat room. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter, @Tribune South. Candy Ebling is normally behind the scenes, but today she's front and to my left. Coming up later this summer, the Motor City Mad Mouse Show will be debuting on the Eagle Corp Media Studios in Boca Raton, Florida, owned by Dr. Edwin Hernandez. I'll keep you posted. The Eagle Corp is a technology-based company that is going to help me promote my book, Adjusting to New Media. There we go. How about that? So they'll be behind that as well, and we appreciate everything that we're looking to do on that end. And it's going to be a lot of fun as we get going there. So I want to make sure we got that across. All right, this is one of the topics I held out for JB Ellis, okay? And one that is for you only, but everybody can comment on it. But we're going to start off with JB and then around the horn. The Yankees and the Cubs first played in 1932, and the Cubs won at Yankee Stadium. The Cubs recently defeated the Yankees, but were 0-12 at Yankee Stadium. July 7th, it was a 3-0 win, and then they won on Sunday with a 7-4 win on July 9th. And the Yankees were able to win. Well, they won 7-4 on July 8th. I'm sure. What were your thoughts, JB, about that particular series when the Cubs and the Yankees square off?
So first of all, I was shocked that the Cubs had ever won there, but of course, being a National League team in the American League Park, but it was pretty cool to see that happen. I watched the game. Being a Yankee fan, I'm not really happy to see the Yankees in such disarray this year. But, you know, the Cubs, they're showing some life at this point of the year. They had a little dead spot a couple of weeks ago, but they turned it back on. And, you know, they're only 4 games back. They're playing Cincinnati, who's in first place right now. A 1-run game last time I checked. You know, they have a lot of young talent that's good. I got a chance to talk to the owner of the Cubs. We were in Cooperstown, and we were talking about how big Bellinger's been for them. You know, how I told him it reminded me of the Yankees in the mid-'90s, where they had all the young local prospects that they brought up, and then they brought in the right veterans with them, and he agreed completely. So, you know, it's good to see what they're doing, and it was great to see them get their first couple of wins at Yankee Stadium. Hopefully it never happens again, and they could go 159-3 every year now that everybody's going to play everybody.
Well, think about it. They won 2 of 3 in that series. So,
Yeah.
again, the Cubs have been a team right now somewhat in transition. I know we talk about the fact that COVID-19, you know, the Ricketts were, you know, they wanted to be cautious with their money. Now that things are starting to get a little bit better, then now they can afford to make bigger moves for sure. Hey, you know what? I think the Cubs and the Yankees is the one reason why I think interleague play is so good, so that you can see these old traditional teams play each other once in a while. You know, you talk about the Dodgers and the Yankees, the Cubs and the Yankees. These teams have been around forever, and to see them on the field and the Cubs to be able to get those 2 wins, I was really happy for them for sure. All right, now we'll go to Jeremy.
With the struggles the Yankees have had, I'm going to say the same thing I said at the end of 108 Stitches last night. Fire Aaron Boone and hire Don Mattingly. Be done with it.
I wish. That was the best thing I heard all day.
Any more, or is that where you end it?
That's where I end it.
All right, George.
You stole my thunder. You stole my thunder, Scott. A great minds think alike, because I was going to bring up the interleague play. I mean, you know, those are just such, to me, they're just magical matchups. You know, the Cubs going to New York, Yankee Stadium, you know, or going to Boston and playing at Fenway. I just love that kind of stuff. You know, I know some people are still dyed-in-the-wool fans. They just don't want interleague play at all. I love it because we're getting to see more teams now, and now it's at least it's parceled out more. I mean, more fair than it was before under the new scheduling format. So, and Scott, I know you saw, and Candy, you saw the Tigers in Miami, and they said, I don't know how many years it's been since the Tigers played the Marlins down there. Was it like 7 or 8 years or some long stretch? So, you know, the teams are getting a chance now to go and see some of these teams or host at their stadium teams that they never see anymore. So I'm all for it. But I do agree that obviously the Yankees are having a bad year. The Cubs are hanging in there. It's exciting baseball.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe in the same year that the Yankees and the Mets are near the bottom of their divisions. That to me is something I never thought I'd hear of. The Mets obviously have been up and down. Obviously, Steve Cohen learned a little bit this year about you can't buy a championship. And at least he's recognized it at the right point where, all right, we're going through this trade deadline thing. Let's just go ahead and regroup and do what we have to do. And I commend him for at least learning now, making some moves for the future. But interleague play is what it's all about. And to see the Cubs and the Yankees, to me, is just nothing short of phenomenal. Candy, you got the last word on this.
So I make no bones about it that I grew up in Milwaukee. I have been a Brewers fan for the longest time. And what I thought was really interesting is when they switched from the American League to the National League. So growing up, I got to see a lot of the teams that were in the American League. And then after when they switched, I got to see the teams from the National League. I really like interleague play, and I really like the fact that they're playing all these different teams because, like you guys said, it makes for good baseball. It makes for good storylines. These old franchise playing each other. I just think it's good for the game. It's interesting because now I've watched some of the players on the field, and some of their relationships are renewed, and some of them, like, the guys get to first base and they're, tapping and talking with the first baseman on the opposite team. And I just think the camaraderie of baseball is good for the game.
Okay, very good. All right, we're going to move on to hockey this time. Nike permanently ends sponsorship of Hockey Canada's men's program due to sexual assault scandals. All right, George.
Hate to hear this kind of stuff. I'm so sad when we hear about these things, and hockey is another one that's been tainted by some of these scandals. I know they have had issues in Chicago and elsewhere, but I tell you what, for them to pull out, oh my goodness, that is a tremendous blow to the NHL. Anytime you lose a sponsor of that kind of name and recognition, but there's got to be a better way to make sure these creeps and guys that are doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing, as far as that goes, comes to an end. And I know it's a wishful thinking, but we've seen so much of this. It's just been terrible. The sexual abuse and abuse of women that we've seen in Major League sports, not just by players, but sometimes front office executives. Come on. I mean, they got to know more than that. Come on, just stay away from that stuff as best you can, I say.
JB?
Listen, it's just disgusting. Anybody that sexually assaults anybody else, there's no excuse for it. Obviously they're getting hit in the pocketbook now where Nike pulled out, but it goes beyond that. It's just, as a human being, to do that to somebody else. Everybody has a mother, a father, a daughter, or a son, or brother, or sister. We all have somebody. How would you feel if that was someone that did it to your family? So it's just a horrible situation.
Jeremy?
I have my own personal opinions, which I will not impose about sexual deviance and the guys that do that type of stuff to women.
Right.
But I fully support Nike on doing what they did. That's all I got to say about it.
Fair enough. Candy?
So, me being the only female on this panel right now, thank you, Nike, for taking a stand. Thank you for the NFL for just changing your standards as well, because you now impose your standards are the same as MLB's and the same as the NBA's. You're going to stiffen the penalties for crimes like these that are happening. It's sad that they happen. It's sad that, let's face it, we all know that we all kind of look up to the guys that are playing sports, professional sports. We pay money to go watch these guys play. You would like to think that they're good human beings, and most of them are. But there's those one couple of bad apples that taint the sport completely. It's time we stiffen those penalties so we get rid of those tainted apples.
The only thing I'll say is, like JB indicated, all right, hit them in the pocketbook. That's what they did. All right, next. We'll talk about Magic Johnson owns the LA Dodgers, the LA Football Club, LA Sparks, Washington Commanders, owned a stake in the Lakers but sold it in 2010, according to Front Office Sports. Boy, Magic Johnson is unbelievable, isn't he, George?
Yeah, he is, and we're proud of him being here from Michigan. As everybody knows, he had a great career at Michigan State University and went on to wonderful achievements in the sport in LA. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I'm glad to see him involved. I know that Michael Jordan got out of the NBA, owning the team in Charlotte, but it seems like Magic Johnson is enjoying it. I mean, he's having some fun, and he's trying different things as far as the sports go. He's not just sticking with the NBA. And I really think that that's good for the game. I mean, he's just been a very good ambassador for the game. I mean, I know he had that whole thing with AIDS and everything, and he got over that. And I just have the utmost respect for Magic. He's a great guy, great personality, and I think it's good for the game because here you got a former player that wants to move into ownership, and he deserves it. I mean, yeah, he's got to have financial backing behind him, of course, but he deserves it because he has a love and a passion for the NBA, football, Major League Baseball, whatever he's involved in.
JB Ellis?
Listen, I've always been a huge Magic Johnson fan from when he was a player. He was always my favorite basketball player. As a business owner and an athlete that played and purchased franchises, he had the movie theaters. I don't know if he still does. He's a phenomenal businessman. And, to see what he does, it's inspirational to athletes, to minorities, to me, to everybody. We all wish we could do what he did and can learn from him. And it's just great to see what he's doing. And to actually have him get into the NFL is phenomenal. It's a great thing for the NFL. They got rid of a huge problem, and they got a great name to have a piece of ownership.
All right, so let me ask any of y'all. Do you think that the new ownership would bring back the Washington Redskins? Yes or no will work? George?
You talking about the name?
Do you think they'll get rid of the commit?
Stole my thunder.
All right, well, that's okay. I'm serious this time, Jeremy. Okay.
I know.
All right. So anyways, yes or no's will work. Will the new ownership bring back the Washington Redskins? Yes or no, George?
No.
JB?
No.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Candy?
No.
I say yes.
Well, the
I
reason
hope
why
so.
is Magic has already put out a petition to be signed, and it's being signed across the country right now. It has over 1.2 million signatures to bring back the Redskins name. I've signed it myself. I'll share it with all of you.
Very good. Well, we have a group of 5 here. 2 say Redskins and 3 don't. So
remember, the way you ask the question is not do we want them to, is
No.
will they change the name?
He
Yes,
proposed
Mhm.
the petition. That means he wants to change the name back. And
it wouldn't care what Dan Snyder's name was anyways. They wouldn't like any name that he's associated with. If you bring on Magic and Josh Harris, you bring that to the Redskins, and you know what? No, they don't have to worry about the logo. They already have it in place. Just bring the old thing back. So I don't know. Just thought it was worth mentioning. All right, last topic of the day unless we go into parting shots. All right, the longest championship droughts in the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL. The Arizona Cardinals check in with 75 of the NFL, the Cleveland Guardians 74 MLB, Sacramento Kings 72 of the NBA, and the Toronto Maple Leafs 55 NHL. So, all right, George, who's going to go ahead and break theirs first?
Well, the Cardinals have had some good teams over the years. I mean, up and down like a yo-yo. So I don't know if they're going to do it. I'm going to go with the Sacramento Kings of the NBA. And again, they've had, like you said, a tremendous drought, but they seem to be getting things together. I mean, they had a good season last year. I'm thinking it might be them, but the other ones are just, oh my God, Toronto. I know, oh man, they got to be fit to be tied. But I'm going to go with Sacramento. I think that's going to be my choice. Oh, and the Guardians, of course. My God, they've been waiting forever in Cleveland, like you said. But I'll go with Sacramento.
What about you, JB?
Some reason I think the Guardians, the baseball teams have an easier shot at breaking that streak. To me, the NBA is too many teams make the playoffs. Hockey, the Maple Leafs are a cursed team. And the Arizona Cardinals are the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, I don't ever see them winning.
I like your comment on Toronto. I can't wait to follow you up with that one. All right, Jeremy.
I think the last time Toronto won, I wasn't even being thought of being conceived yet. Arizona won in 75. What?
No, 75 years ago was the
Oh,
last time.
75 years ago.
The
They have the
franchise.
longest.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah. I want to say something nice and pleasant for the Cardinal fans that are out there, but I really don't. As long as you have a quarterback that wants to play video games more than read a playbook or study it, guess what? You're not winning. Yeah, I'm gonna agree. Sacramento Kings or Guardians are the two best shots. Out of all of those, those are the two that have the easiest road to break the streak.
Okay, Candy.
If the Cubs can break the curse, so can Toronto. Why not? Let them.
Hasn't been 100 years yet.
Well, it hasn't, but
It seems like it is.
I mean, where did hockey start? Up in Canada. Like I think Toronto. That's my guess out of all of them.
It
Because
started in a pond outside of Detroit. We're called Hockey Town for a reason. Come on.
well, as far as my husband will keep reminding me, Detroit is so close to Canada, and he's from Canada. I think Toronto has a better shot because honestly, I think the other teams, they don't spend the money and they don't get the talent that they can compete with the other teams in their leagues respectively. Just my opinion.
Well, she has to listen. Since you're from the Detroit area, you get Windsor with it, so we get the extra TV station. What was it, CKLW, George?
Yeah, Channel 9.
Yeah.
Yep.
We used to have JV Hockey Night in Canada, and it was fun to watch the Canadians and the Maple Leafs play.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun to watch all those other teams play. So, as much as I would like to see the Toronto Maple Leafs, because I think they have one of the best of this group here, I probably might hedge toward the Sacramento Kings as well. But remember, the last time the Cardinals won a championship, I believe it was with the Chicago Cardinals, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't win one in St. Louis when they had two birds, and they haven't done it in Arizona. So I'm going to say that the Chicago Cardinals predates a lot of us, if not all of us. All right.
I don't think any of us is that old.
Well, George is closer than I am.
Wow.
Oh.
Cheap shots from the cheap seats.
No, it isn't, because I'm not that far behind him anyways. Hey, let me tell you, George is probably healthy at his age and I am at mine. So, we'll leave it at that.
True.
So, all right,
Probably
we actually
healthier than
have.
me.
What's that?
He's probably healthier than me.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, okay.
I wish.
Yeah. So how about that, baby? We have a Chicago champion in there. Was the Chicago Cardinals?
Right?
So-
That was a long time ago.
Well, let me ask you a question, JB. What did Debbie think about that Cubs Cardinals series?
She was quite happy. I wasn't.
Tell Debbie, our heart's with her, and we know she's a Cubby girl, but more importantly, as long as she makes you happy, she's all right in our book. So that's why I held on to this topic here, guys. So since we're running actually pretty good on time, I'm going to leave it open for anybody that wants a parting shot. George, anything on your mind?
Well, JB was a witness to the Hall of Fame, and I know Scott's been there, and Candy, I have not, but I still think we got to get two former Tigers in that Hall of Fame, Mickey Lolich and Lou Whitaker. Lolich, of course, did a fantastic job as Tigers starting pitcher. In fact, he he won 3 games in the World Series, which is unheard of nowadays. 3 games, and beating the great Bob Gibson in a couple of those games. But Mickey Lolich deserves consideration by the Select Era Committee, and of course Lou Whitaker goes without saying. I mean, Scott Rowland made it, but come on. Sweet Lou did a fantastic job here in Detroit alongside Alan Trammell. And once they finally put Trammell in, I have a feeling that Whitaker might get a look, a more serious look, even though 1 vote came since then and he did not make it. But I'm just pulling for those 2. I hope the Baseball Hall of Fame and the writers correct that error and get Mickey Lolich and Lou Whitaker into the Hall of Fame. That's my parting shot.
Very good. All right, JB.
You know, I want to talk about the Hall of Fame for a minute. I think the Hall of Fame did a phenomenal job with everything that they had, the whole program throughout the weekend. You know, to see the players that became Hall of Famers in the parade and taking the time, most of them, you know, took time to sign autographs for the fans and spend some time with them. You know, to see the media inductees, John Lowe and Pat Hughes, get inducted was, you know, to me, quite an honor because we're all in the media field here. You know, and to hear their stories and what they had to say and how they got there. You know, and then of course, just getting to view the Hall of Fame again, having been there before, it's a special place. And, you know, if you haven't been there, go. And I want to give a lot of credit to them. And it would be great to see if they can get Lou and Trammell in at the same time. That would be phenomenal because, you know, they were great together.
Well, Trammell's in, but Lou
Okay.
Whitaker, my friend Tom Gage is trying like heck to get him in, but it's not like Lou is the most open guy on the planet. So he's a little
There's a lot
rough
of
around
that.
Yeah,
There's
but
something
Tom
to
Gage,
that.
but Tom
Yeah.
Gage has been lobbying to get Lou Whitaker, JB, just so you know, in it. So, you know, but I'm glad you experienced it. Did you ever have a chance to go to the Ford Frick Award wing of there, as well as the broadcasting, as well as the writers wing?
No, I did not. This was the first time.
Yeah, we went back there and it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, a lot of my friends are in there. You know, Tom Gage, I mentioned, Ernie Harwell, the list goes on and on. Should you get back there again, that's something I would encourage you to do, particularly since that you're in the profession anyways. All right. But thanks for sharing your story, JB. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was fun to watch all your posts on social media. You did well. So,
Thank
all right. Oh, it was great. I mean, yeah, you brought back memories about a year ago. So, and I'd love to get back there one day, but hopefully it won't be as expensive as the last time. Only thing I'll say about it is Don Mattingly needs to get in the Hall of Fame, period.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, if Scott Rowland's in, I can't see why Mattingly shouldn't be in.
Well, good. Then you enhance my case. Thank you very much. Okay, Jeremy, go ahead.
About the subject or parting shot?
Parting shot.
Your parting
Parting shots.
My parting shot. Sayonara to Michael Lorenzen. He goes to the Phillies. We get back a guy, and I talked about it last night, 271 batting average, 301 slugging, 401 OPS. All of those numbers are almost 100 points better than Javi Baez. Call him up.
So Javi Baez is your favorite player?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Just like Garrett Cole is yours.
Jeremy, I get the feeling that Javi Baez to you is only like you wanting to get rid of Dwayne Casey, right?
Yes. Yes.
You got your wish on that one.
Careful what you ask for. You might get it.
Garrett Cole, I only got to see once in every 5 days. You got to see
James
Baez
Burgess
like
came
all the
in and
time.
gave James Burgess gave us a parting shot. Buckshot Dan Snyder's butt.
Well, we're on target tonight. All right, and you know what? Yeah, James Burgess, Mickey Lolich owned Gibson in '68. Game 7 was a shutout until Roger Maris lost his last home run. Yeah, well, whatever. I hit a home run when Tom Gage got Mickey Lolich on the Sports Exchange with Peter Ween and I, and you could see that interview on the South Florida Tribune website. Go ahead, Candy.
So my parting shot is this last weekend was one of the last weekends without football. Football has started. Training camps are there. So there's been all kinds of talk. We all know Rodgers is no longer with the Packers. It's time for love.
Yeah.
My question is this will also be a test to see how good a head coach Matt LaFleur is. Because before you had Aaron Rodgers, who has been he'll be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's had a great career. Now you're bringing in somebody that a lot of people think won't last. How well will he do in coaching him as well as Love in playing and competing?
Great parting shot.
All right. Well, you know what? I actually have a parting shot, but I have something to say about what took place on Monday. It was nice going back down to the University of Miami covering the media day. You know what's so nice about it? The access was fantastic, and the PR guy was a whole lot better. Cameron Gorby is one of the classiest PR guys I have ever seen. And I mean, I have ever seen. All this COVID stuff going around, he puts forth a great media day. I was able to muster up 10 interviews in a matter of 2 hours for our YouTube side. And you know what? I got 4 offensive players, 4 defensive players, and 2 coaches. And I'm going to tell you something. If I had more of these opportunities like I get with Miami, because we do well with them, with the post game is one thing, it would probably make me feel better about wanting to go to more events probably next year. I don't know what my load is going to be. Accessibility is what this is all about. And some PR places do a much better job of it, and some don't. But you know what? The biggest home run that I hit last year was when the South Florida Tribune landed at the University of Miami. Now, I should point out, though, that from 1982 and 83, I had the opportunity to work with the University of Miami when Howard Schnellenberger was a coach. You know, I have Florida Atlantic University as well. I expect FAU to do some pretty good things under Tom Herman. And I do have a season credential for the Miami Hurricanes. I will get out to as many Owls games as I can. Got to know Tom Herman a little bit during the spring, but I'm going to tell you, to me, as much as I love the University of Michigan and I graduated from the University of South Florida, I love the University of Miami Hurricanes, and I'm proud of it. And coming up on a future edition of Fire Up Florida, I'm going to bring my colleague Adam Lichtenstein on for a Fire Up Florida. Hope you can be there to watch it. Adam and I have a great working relationship, as a lot of the people there. So kudos to Cameron Gorby and the Miami Hurricanes. You guys are great, and I just looking forward to another great year under Coach Mario Cristobal, and expect Coach Cristobal to do some pretty good things down in Coral Gables. So, with that said, okay, we'll let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. So we're going to start off with JB Ellis.
JB_ the program, Tuesday night, Sideline Sports, 8:30 on NFL Alumni Media. Also, Confidential usually follows this show. This week we're on hiatus, but next week, don't forget to tune in.
Okay, Jeremy.
Well, you can find me on the SouthFloridaTribune.com, where you can read my writings underneath the Motor City Tribune heading with guys like Scott Morganroth and George Eichhorn, and there's quite a few others. I think even Candy has an article or two in there. That being said, you can also find me on this channel, the South Florida Tribune channel. If you're watching on my channel, you need to come over and subscribe so we can get you on these football shows, people. And then you can also find me anywhere where JB, Scott Morganroth, Dan Dave Harris, anywhere you guys need me. And stay tuned, because Professor and Pupil, Professor and Pupil, the second show shall air this Sunday at 10 a.m.
Very good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, all right. Well, you know what, Candy, you want to give them our information? You want me to do it off the teleprompter?
Well, you're going to let George go?
Well, I'll save his book for last.
Oh, okay. Well, you can always catch me every other week on Chicks and Salsa or 3 Chicks in a Pod. You never know. Tuesday nights at 7:30. We had a great show last night. Thank you, Jeremy. I know you were chiming in the chat. We appreciate that. I want to say thank you to everybody that's chimed in today. James Burgess, Denzel Snipes, and Brian Cushion and Keegan Eckert for all commenting on our show tonight. You can find us on South Florida Tribune, our YouTube channel. See that red subscribe button next to Jeremy? Click it, like it, share us. Tell all your friends. Anybody that you know that likes sports would love to jump on over, listen to our shows, comment. Maybe you'll be a guest. You never know. Check out our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You can catch all our broadcasts on Apple, Google Podcasts. So if you're driving home and you can't watch us, you can listen to us. Scott, you can tell them about your book that you're writing, and you can do the rest.
Thank you very much, Candy. You're a pro. You do that subscribe thing better than anybody. Yeah. What do you want to say?
Radio.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that. All right. Well, yeah. Now let's talk about the audio version of the show. Actually, that's good, Jeremy. Thanks for mentioning it up. That the audio version of the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. iHeart's big because a lot of people are familiar with it. The other ones are just as good. We have other ones that are out there. And of course, my book is going to be adjusting to new media, hoping to release that the next 3 to 5, 6 weeks. But I'm, 75% through it. I like to talk about the old school, how things used to be, how they are now. And I think it's been a fun book for me to write it. But the amount of research I've had to put into this thing has been incredible. And I also have a COVID-19 section, which has really indicated some of the trends of what this industry has become and why some of our closest friends are getting out of it. So, and of course, the Motor City Mad Mouse show will be debuting later on this summer, or if not early fall. And it'll be also presented by the Eagle Corp, the tech company, which I am the president of that organization. So we have a lot of good things going for us. But that book, for those people that really know me, they've known I wanted to write a book. You just don't write a book unless you have something to do. And I believe that this is one book where I've gotten a lot of people interested. In fact, over the weekend, Craig Monroe, the Tigers former outfielder and broadcaster, and Rod Allen, who's joined me in Miami, both like the idea, and we've gotten a lot of good positive. Hope we're keeping you there, JB. All right?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, we're gonna have to give you some jolt. I'll give you a jolt of information after the show.
Long week.
It's okay. But anyways, all right. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to George.
Competing books. I love it. Me and Scott are going to have books competing. No, not really. But my book is called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. It's been out for several years, and it's a great read. It's real easy to find. If you go to the bottom of my column, and you can click on a link that Candy set up right at the end of my sports column on the South Florida Tribune and the Motor City Tribune website, and you can click easy way to buy the book. Scott's in the book as well, and so many great Detroit people are in there. It's a wonderful keepsake. You can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com. You can find me on 108 Stitches. You can find me on Pigskin. You can find me on the Sports Exchange, wherever Scott needs me. And don't forget, you can reach me too on LinkedIn under my name, or you could go to Twitter, SandGSports99. Thank you.
All right. Well, great show tonight. I know we talked a lot of baseball tonight, a little different from our usual, lots of football, but there were some pretty good baseball topics I wanted to get to. I don't really like to say if there's any favorites of the group, but the one I really have to admit that I really enjoyed a lot tonight was talk about the Yankees and the Cubs. That was something that just doesn't happen a lot. And when you have two incredible traditions like that, and what do you do? And of course, the longest championship droughts, that got a lot of us, our wheels turning. So meanwhile, on behalf of George Eichhorn, JB Ellis, Jeremy Ballwright, Candy Ebley, my name is Scott Morgan, Route to Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange, and we will catch you on our next episode. Have a great weekend, everybody, and be safe.